Can anyone confirm if my voice is loud and clear? Just putting it in a comment. Any echo? Any feedback loop? Great, thanks. Much appreciated. We'll start in just a couple of minutes.
Hi, Anand. You able to hear me?
Yes, they're loud and clear. Now, there.
How about now?
Yep, all good.
All good? Great.
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
All right. We have another 2 minutes before we start. We have people joining in. Right now, we have 40. All right. Okay, guys, welcome to the session of enhancing employee engagement with design thinking. We have Anand today with us. Anand Pandey is a dear friend and a colleague. Uh, he's been an agile enthusiast. I could not do this telling about him. Tell more.
Not a problem. We'll just wait for a couple of more minutes and we'll start.
Hi, Anand, you there? Anand, you able to hear my voice?
Yes, it's good now. So if you may share the screen,
Yeah.
people have got some system problems, so I'll not be able to share from mine. So Gagan is doing that for me. He's helping me out sharing the presentation. So there might be a bit of async between the two of us. Bear with me, but you'll certainly like the journey.
Yeah. Not able to hear Anand. I think I am able to. Anyone else facing issue with Anand's voice, please can you put in chat? Present without.
Anyone? Anyone can confirm if my voice is having a problem? Okay. Gagan, if you may just share the slide, that would be good enough. Yeah. If you may just share the slide, make it big screen. All right, people, welcome. You may just double click on that slide which Gagan has shared, and you may be able to see that. That should be good enough. Right. So just confirm if everybody can see that screen big enough. So I'll just quickly start then. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. So I invite you everybody to please stand up and close your eyes. Next. Now imagine yourself standing in a big open field beneath a blue sky. In 3 seconds, you're going to blast around the moon. With the count of 1, 2, 3, blast off. Now for the next 10 seconds, imagine yourself blasting around the moon. All right, now land back on the Earth. Quick questions about your experience. Did you have your hands up like a Superman or a Superwoman? And did you land on the moon? And finally, did you wear your spacesuit? Next, I'm sure you had a great experience traveling to space, even imaginatively. A good experience is really essential. Next, see the irony. Survey says 70% of executives believe that a good employee experience and engagement is vital to achieve overall organizational success. Next, but still 70% of employees are disengaged. Next, so where are we going wrong? We have been doing these surveys. We have been gathering the data. Next, and Gagan, you're there?
Yes.
I asked to next. I guess your screen is not moving. Yep. Just a couple of slides before. Just after that Gartner's survey, that pie chart. Yeah. If you may start from here, please. Thanks. Yeah. So where are we going wrong? Next. We have been doing engagement survey. We have been collecting data, all these red, amber, green survey, creating those heat maps, collecting all those matrices. But then what's happening? Let me actually tell you a story behind it. Next. It's a frog story. Gagan, I guess you have some problem in hearing, or there's some network lag. You're there? What I would do is I'll actually share the screen from my side. Gagan, if you may stop yours, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this in mobile. Just checking if someone else can do that. People just bear for a moment. Gagan, you may try once again.
Just check if the slides are moving.
Yep, you may start here, and if it freezes, we'll see what alternative can we have. That frog slide, if you may take from there. Yes, this is the slide.
Anand,
Yeah, I can hear you now.
you want to go ahead?
Yep, if you may make the screen full, the presentation. Right. Sorry for that inconvenience. So it goes something like this. 5 green and speckled frogs were sitting on a mossy log. 4 frogs decided to jump into the pool where it was nice and cool. Now there are how many green speckled frogs sitting on a log? And if you would have guessed it, you guessed it right. There are still 5 frogs sitting on a log because they just decided. They did not act on it. Next. Kagan, you're able to change the slide? Or in the worst case, you may not do a slide share. You just put your slides like that only. That's a problem, not a problem. All right, so I found out a solution. I hope that would work for me. All right, just let me give that try once. Now I think people can see the screen. If you may just confirm me back quickly, much appreciated. Perfect. So I'm just doing that now, and we'll go ahead from here. Great, 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 great. Sorry for the inconvenience. I'll just try to cover for the time. So yes, people decided, but they did not act for it, right? But yes, we did. So leaders are asking the right questions. They are understanding the problems, but taking actions, big question mark. But we thought, let's take action together. But first disclaimer, whatever we did was not a rocket science. Rather, it was just a common sense. And we were not alone who would have done that. I'm very sure many people among you would have been there, done that. Or should I say that we fall onto those 30% in bucket who are really crazy change agents. And yes, there are many paths like religion. There are many paths to meet God. There are many paths which leads to these engagements. What matters is you to take an action and you just inspect and adapt. All right. But before that, one more point: the engagement. Yeah, the engagement experience. There is a difference between engagement and satisfaction. What we are looking for here is an employee engagement, not satisfaction. Satisfied employees feel pleasant, they feel gratified, they feel content. But engaged employees feel the sense of focus, enthusiasm, urgency, persistence. So, uh, so while the former type of employees has the focus on what they can get from the organization, the latter type of employees actually think of what they can give back to the organization. Give free lunches and unlimited vacation time, and you'll surely have the very satisfied employees. But will you call them as an engaged employees? I won't. Uh, we knew that employee engagement boils down to many other factors, including organizational culture. But we cannot, and we also realize that we cannot change the organizational culture overnight. So what we did was we started taking up only that part of the journey which was within the circle of influence. Otherwise, employees' journey starts much before where the hiring and much after their exit interview as well, right? So we took small steps at a time, one experiment, one area, one problem, and we started to see the needle moving. So what did we do? Basically, we just got obsessed with the Agile principle, manifesto principle number 5. Give the environment and support they need and trust them to get the job done. So we wanted to see ourselves as an experienced designers rather than just people managers. And then when we started doing that, it changed our perception. It changed our conversation itself. But here I make one disclaimer. A disclaimer that having mentioned the term design thinking or design engineer, don't think I am a UX designer, nor am I the master of design thinking. We just used some of its tools and principles for the practice purpose, right? And we implemented it onto our context. And that's what I'm going to share with you. By the way, here I'm not even covering all the other nuances that we used, like, for example, change management, stakeholder management, team building, etc. Those were very much essential to building that engagement. But here we are just covering on the design thinking aspect and how we used it, right? All right, so now take me a task of defining design thinking, at least at a high level, in just 2 minutes or so, right? So design thinking, if I'm correct, it originated from Stanford University, and it just changes the way you perceive the problem, you see the problem, and the way you come up with a solution itself. It encourages you to move beyond that point-based approach, right? That you have identified, assume that you have identified the problem. You assume that, okay, this is the solution that will work. No, it makes you go and explore the options, the alternatives. You never know what will work. Understanding the context and the situation of your stakeholders, about your, in my case, it was about employees, getting into their mind, stepping onto their shoes. That's where empathy. And when you start doing that, when you start observing them, how they behave, how they react with all the processes, with their services, the product that you're sharing with them, then you start realizing their whole journey. Then you understand, you build up the stories which will help you empathizing with them. The next comes, and then once you have understood the real underlying problem, then you enter the define phase. In this define phase, you have articulated the real problem that they have out of many problems that you would have explored. And once you have defined the underlying problem, the real problem that you want to solve for them, it's the time for you to go into the ideation phase, the brainstorming of crazy ideas, radical ideas. And you know that, right? No idea is a bad idea. And that's what it is. It's you diverge toward different ideas that you can come up with. The best way to actually learn is experiment. And then we go on to this prototype phase, right? So we have done ideation, we enter the prototype phase where we come up with lots of ways where we can come up with a solution, and then we put those solutions to test to see whether they're actually going to make the impact, right? So the idea is actually to build these prototype fast, learn fast. It's about reducing your learning cycle. It's about building those short and quick learning cycle. If done right, design thinking will actually, with good intent and with good purpose as well, it will help you look at the problem in a very different way. It will simplify your perspective about the problem, and it will help you systematically actually work onto your problems. And yes, it works because it works toward the need of the user, in our case employees. So yes, it's okay for us to start calling our employees as members and not resources, but that's just one part of it. It's much more. Okay, so the first thing that starts is with empathy. Empathy is really important. It helps us in seeing with the eye of the another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. Let me take a different stance of how design thinking is also making sense. It's about finding the right problem and finding the right solution, but not in a point-based approach. You first discover, you diverge, you try to explore lots of problems in the customer's journey, the way they are interacting with your service or your product. And once you have explored lots of problems, it's about finding out the problem. You again converge back. You define, okay, this is the problem that I'm going to fix up. And once you have identified that unique problem one at a time, it's the time for you to develop lots of crazy solutions and see which one of these will actually work. So that was again your diverging, right? And the diamond closes once you have prototyped, tested, and agreed that, okay, this is the solution which will work for my problem, my customers, and in my case, my employees, right? All right. So the first thing we did was, of course, come to the use the journey map. So empathy map is also one of the tools for design thinking, but we started with the journey map because for our case, most of the stuffs were already done, right? So there's initially it might appear that design, it's just the process map, right? And different actions that happens in a process map, but there is a difference. There's a human touch to it. We put emotions within a journey map, and that's what we will see how it makes sense. So at the top line, you see the awareness, consideration, purchase, etc. This is the different touch points. Where does your customer, your employees, or whoever is your stakeholder touching your service or your product? And it can be beyond your product's existence on either side. And what it shows is the actions that they are taking, right? So they might be requesting for a service, they might be calling your customer care. There can be different ones, which we will be exploring in a hands-on exercise. But what differentiates us toward the left, if you see the experience, the emotions that we carry from it, whether they were happy or sad or confused, we just capture those emotions part of it. It's not just about identifying the waste, optimizing the process. It's humanizing it out, right? So though the journey map will be, so what we did was we actually co-created with our employees that, okay, what is your journey map for the delivery life cycle, right from the point the requirement comes to you to the point you release it to the customer. Let's plot out what are the touch points, and they did it. And then we took the whole exercise, which we will be doing it, right? But the problem is that I was actually intending to put the case study itself, my whole case study, which I did it in my previous organization. But when I did the submission, I was still part of that organization. But because I have left that fortnight ago, now because of this ND, I cannot actually share the whole case study, right? But even better, everything happens for a reason. And now I invite you to co-create and crowdsource our whole journey itself. So no two journey map anyways looks similar. So why not we co-create our own journey map? And for that, but what's common between us? One thing at least is common: these conferences. We all participate in one or the other conferences, right? So let's take these conferences itself and our participation on these conferences as a way to explore this journey map. I'll take a pause over here if there is any question or something which has been posed. Mahmoudul, we'll be covering some of the design thinking tools. Just bear with me for some moments, and then we'll be talking more about it toward the end as well. Great. All right. So are you all with me? I'll just put the link of the Jamboard. Not sure whether I'll be able to. Just let me see. I think I can do it from here as well. Just bear with me for a moment. And this will take you to the Jamboard. And from the Jamboard, you will be asked to start getting engaged. Right. So I hope people can see the Jamboard. I would request you to go to that Jamboard. And once into that Jamboard, you may go to the first sheet. And you may not remove the first links that are there, the face and touch points. What I would request you is to come up the different stages that you go through in your journey toward any conference, right? So I've given it in the beginning. Like, for example, awareness about the conference. By the way, people new to Jamboard, you may click on a sticky note, which is toward the left. If you see just below that arrow sign, there is a sticky note sign. You may click on that sticky note. It will give you a pop-up, and you write down what you think could be your journey, different stages. So I've given like the awareness about the conference is the first thing. In between selection of a session, because there are multiple sessions running right now. So which session would you select? Networking could be one of the actions, so one of the phases, right? So what are the different phases, if you may want to put? And for that, you have 3 minutes, and you may just feel free to crowdsource the whole steps that people go through in their journey. Uh, just be mindful. I'm not asking you the actions that you take, the stages. Within that stages, there might be actions. Like, for example, somebody put reading about speakers. Reading about speakers is one of the action that you take in the awareness about the conference. But still fine. You may still do that, because I'll be showing you what a typical steps would be looking like. Wonderful. All right, we have 30 more seconds, and then we will move ahead. Great, thanks for the contribution. Now, because we have limited time, actually in the real scenario, we did affinity mapping to identify what are the high level themes, what are the high level touch points, what are the high level steps goes through. But here, because of the benefit of time, I'll just use a sample, very basic, which I thought would Am I there? Great. Can you still see the screen? All right, great. Sorry, there was some network glitch. Now, the next step that I invite you is for the actions. So okay, these are the steps. Now, what all actions would you take in each of these phases, right? Now, I again ask you to go back to that Jamboard, but this time the second sheet. And in that second sheet, you may put all the actions. So if you look at the second sheet, this has the same columns which we saw. And here you'll be putting different actions that you would be taking at different places. So if I can throw you some of the example actions, right? Searching for RSG in local area could have been an action. Contacting the community members could be one of the actions that you take during the awareness. Identify speakers for the conference. Perfect. Booking the tickets, purchasing it through TownScript could be one of the actions. Selection of session, go through live sessions and select. Go crazy. Think about the actions that you would be taking under each of these headings. Let's crowdsource, because this is what exactly we did. And then, of course, affinity mapping and grouping always helps you. You have 3 minutes to do that. So people who don't have the link, I'm once again putting that into Jamboard so that you may. Great, great, great. Yeah, could be too many people viewing this file, could be a problem. The capacity of Jamboard, but nevertheless, it was good participation. At least if you can see the screen, that I might not be able to share the screen, but nevertheless, we will continue. We'll see some excitement. Right. So yeah, what we have done so far is we have identified the actions, but by now, considering that you have took the process steps, we have identified all the actions. You must be sure that now this is a process map camouflaged as a journey map, right? It's an old mine in a new bottle, a facade, but it's really far from it. It's the biggest difference is the perspective. The perspective internally or externally, right? So yes, we are doing all these things. We are measuring. We are putting all these stuffs of process map and everything in place, but we are humanizing it as well, right? So, and that's what we will do now. You must have seen, you must have been doing process mapping, value stream mapping, Gemba walk as well by executives. But all these were focused around optimization and not humanization. Through this, we are humanizing, we are capturing their emotions. So now let's humanize. What we have done so far was capture the action part of it. Now I once again invite you to capture your thoughts and happy or moments of pain points. So fine, on the awareness, you captured your action. On registering, you captured your actions. But what were your thoughts when you were doing that? What were you feeling happy about it? What were your pain points? I invite you to once again do that in the Jamboard, but this time on the different ones, like the third and the fourth sheet, because there'll be too many people. So you may put all the emotions of yours, pain points within these sheets. I'll throw you some examples, if you may. So my thoughts when I was talking about online conference, my thought was not sure if we will be able to network properly. And my thought was, wow, what a great lineup of speakers. I can now listen to speakers across the world. When about the selection of sessions, I was like, there are so many good sessions happening and I don't want to really miss any of these. So that's what one of my thoughts. But when I talk about the pain points and happy moments on that selection of session itself, I was thinking, the sessions are selecting the session in such a short time is really crazy. You're asking me to select the session in just 2 minutes and jump onto it. That's a pain for me. Registering into the conference, I was like, why did I have to register again after I have purchased the ticket in TownScript? Shouldn't it be just click and go through it? Why do I have to re-register it in Open? So these were some of my thoughts, my pain points, right? You see, now we are capturing emotions. So I invite you to, again, the crowdsourcing, put all the pains in 3 and 4, because it might just go full. What were your happy moments? What were your pain points? And what were your thoughts when you were doing those actions? And again, as usual, you have 3 minutes to complete it. 4 minutes. So you have 1 more minute and you may still go crazy with your ideas. Now, generally, when you're doing it with your customer, this is what you do it. You observe your customers, you do your interviews, you observe them, right? Silent observation, and then you do it on behalf of them. The reason why I'm emphasizing, because we did it with our own employees, and we asked them to reflect on this. And that's what the difference which I'll be talking about. Is there any audio problem? All right. Just checking, is the expectation, the session going as per expectation, or am I going very tangent? Wow, I really liked it. How to find the video recording for leftover sessions. Exactly, that's what your thoughts are. Or you might also put it as a pain point that, oh man, I missed those many sessions. I just missed the opportunity to learn. That's your pain point. Wow, see, the perfect pain point. No closing note to indicate closure. So people are really understanding the concept. I really like it. Great, great, great. All right, so we just have 30 more seconds and then we will continue. Right, so if people who do the journaling, they will be able to realize this, right? That it's something like the personal journaling. We do it, right? What are our thoughts? What are our emotions? What are our behaviors? They all interlink to each other. They don't live in isolations. So our thoughts are decided by our emotions and behaviors. Our behaviors are decided by thoughts and emotions. So just like in a process map where you are capturing your behavior doesn't do the needful. Capturing all the 3 dimensions really makes a difference. And when we did it with our employees, we found out that many of those things are coming out from their mind, which was hidden in their subconscious mind, right? They were thinking beyond just the waste identification, process optimization, and those things. They were actually reflecting on that situation, the way you are experiencing it right now. All right, cartographers. So what you just now created is not to be frozen on time, right? this is something which I have come up with some of the examples, but what you did was wonderful. And I'll try to collate and share it with you people that what ideas you came up with in a presentable way. But this was just the starting point. There's more to come, right? Opportunities. If you see that there's last section called opportunities, just skip that for not right now. We'll cover that later on. By the way, did you notice that I skipped matrices collection, right? So again, a new disclaimer. I'm a very strong proponent of matrices, but here I understood that the customers or the employees voice is the best measurement. Now, I think I'll be running short of time, so let me quickly go through. So now what we have covered is discover. We will have to go to the define phase now. So we will have to actually define what the real problem is. So we did the affinity mapping. We understood the topmost pain point that we wanted to take. There were lots of pain points. We wanted to take a couple of those. And the best way was, again, we let the team decide it based on what is their desire to change, their ability to change, and the overall impact. Only take that pain point and define that as your problem to solve. We're not going to boil the whole ocean in one day. And as Einstein said, if you understood the problem, so more than half of the work is done. So based on, of course, I'm taking a liberty right now, but in a real context, you'll be actually doing those affinity mapping, brainstorming. And this is the problem statement I came up with. We do not know which session to join when there are so many interesting sessions being run in parallel. So this is what took me to the defining of the problem. Right. But then once we have come up the define, we'll have to again develop the solutions for it, right? And for solution, we have to go crazy. We will have to generate lots of ideas. And for that, I take another design thinking tool about how might be. It's a very simple tool. It's about capturing who are we designing this solution for, the solutions that we'll be exploring, what do we want to achieve through this, why is this important, and where will this take place? Now, using this, if I take that same problem statement, it will look something like this. How might we better inform and guide participants or ourselves, because we are the participants right now, which session to choose so we get the best out of the conference? Now, this is from the problem statement. Now, this is the challenge statement that we will go ahead, right? And for this, again, I invite you, but this time for just 1 minute, again to Jamboard. And if you look at the 5th Jamboard, there I have put how might we. And in that, you might start taking the sticky note and put up your idea. How might you want to better inform? Come up with the idea. And then after every idea, you again, if you think that that idea can be taken forward, you again append that with how might we. So how might we inform and guide participants for better participation? Might we put a video teaser so that people can select it, right? This is one idea that I've just put. Now you might think, okay, how to put a video idea? So again, append that with how might we. So it's going iterative, right? Okay, how might I put a video teaser? I create a YouTube video. Right. So you just keep on doing that. And you can keep on going to the minimum viable prototype level where you think that, okay, this is something which I want to experiment with. If you think that it's a high level, you again go, how might, so whatever solution you came up with, just append it with how might we. So brief summary of session can be shared. How might we share the brief summary? Or provide the agenda of the session. How might we provide the agenda of the session? So you're actually coming down to the tangible minimum viable prototype. Put a high level TOC. How might we put that TOC? Because this is something now you have to go and next step is prototype and test it. So you have to have a very strong actionable prototype, which you can go ahead and implement it like an MVP. Great, great, great. Now, for the benefit of time, I'm just moving ahead. You may keep on putting your thoughts over there. So this is one of the experiments I might do. This is just a template, a hypothesis-driven development template. We believe that if we build this prototype for these, in this case, it's B only, we will achieve what? Satisfaction of the participants, better engagement. And we will know that this is true. How will you know that this prototype that you have built for these people so that they can be happy if that is your outcome? How will you know that they are happy? Will you take a survey? So this is a sample which you may use to define your experiments, which you will then try to prioritize and run few of those. I hope you are with me till now. So with that, we come to the deliver part. You have defined lots of such experiments. You run those, build those prototypes, and test it with your real customers or your participants, or in my case, I actually did it with the employees. Right now, but because of the time limitation and actually we are running short, and then the scope of the session, I intentionally limited it only till the develop part, where thanks to you people who crowdsourced the development of the solution, I leave it up to you to explore how you want to build those prototypes, the ideas that you came up and test it out. Alternatively, you may join any of my upcoming free workshops where I'll be taking you to the entire journey, right from the discover till you deliver. All right, so done well. Design thinking is actually promotes the high level of employee engagement, the virtuous cycle, and a high productivity within the company. And who doesn't want that? Isn't the high level of employee engagement what every executive, every agile leader wants? Right. So with that, I actually like Morpheus did in movie Matrix, right? I invite you to make a choice. You take a blue pill and you forget everything that you just explored. You go back to your organization and live with the disengagement. Or I invite you to take the red pill and as an agile leader, provide your employees with the most engaging experience and improve how your organization moves towards agility. Now, for those who have taken the red pill, go and provide the environment and support your employees' need so that they can be curious, carry that child level curiosity, and be comfortable and experimenting. And then see the magic happening. Thank you. I'm exactly finished on time, and now I've got 15 minutes for the question.
Hi, Anand. Can you hear me?
This is my connect. If you may want to connect with me, this is Gagan. Anyway, thanks for posting my LinkedIn ID. And yes, if you have it. Ram, yes. So the design thinking tools, that's what we explored. We explored only two of those, which was journey mapping and how might we. There's empathy mapping also in discovery. Then the different tools of MVPs and brainstorming, affinity mapping. These all form within the design thinking tools. It's about you finding what is appropriate for yours. And if you may come to any of my workshop that I may plan in coming month, then we'll go a bit more of these tools. So what we covered was covering the basic ones, which should be good enough for you to start. Yes. So what we did was the journey mapping. Customer journey mapping is the tool for at the discover phase when you want to empathize with their situation. I customized it to employees journey mapping, whereas it actually starts with the customer's journey mapping. Even before they start using the product, how do they know about your product? And even after they have left using your product, beyond your customer support also, that's the whole journey map, where you capture their what they think, what they feel, and what they act.
Great.
One other question is around connecting design thinking to the business analysis level. Yeah, so if I understand the question correctly, then design thinking actually feeds it to my product development. That, okay, these are the pain points that actually customers are seeing, which we might not be otherwise if we take one stand survey. Right now, listening to the customers, listening to their voice, stepping onto their shoes, getting onto their mind will actually generate me some of those leads, which otherwise business analysts miss out. And people, I'm very sorry about the network issue and the glitches that happened in the beginning. But I suppose you really enjoyed the session, and I could feel that by the participation that was there in the Jamboard.
Thank you, Anand. I think that was a wonderful session.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Gagan. I'm still open to question unless Gagan throws me out.
We still got some time left. I think that was a great session. Anand, we'll close the session and we'll move to the other session.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, guys. You can poll or vote on
Thank
this
you.
session on the poll window. And thank you for joining. Thanks a lot. And we'll see you in the other sessions. Thank you, Anand.